Good evening, everyone. Chelsea, if you could unmute all the trustees, please, and Beth and Liz Vale. Right. Oh, Jim,
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear Aiden.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Jim, you're the only one who isn't unmuted. Thank you. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag,
flag
of the
of
United
the
States.
United States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which
stands,
stands one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We have a full agenda and a couple of and a very interesting presentation. So let's just get right into it. Can I get a motion called to order, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
The first is a local law amending Chapter 80 animals, Section 80 for dogs and animals prohibited in certain places. Elizabeth Vale, do you want to take us through why we're bringing this one in instead of the parks and the beaches
Sure.
talking about? Thank you.
Happy to, thank you. Good evening, board members. So the proposed parks law that has been carried on the board's agenda for the past few meetings attempted to amend dogs on Havens Beach. But there's a section in the code already, our Chapter 80 animals, Section 80-4, dogs and animals prohibited in certain places, which states, dogs and other animals shall be prohibited from the beach and play areas of Havens Beach and Marine Park from the Thursday preceding Memorial Day through and including to the Tuesday following Labor Day under all circumstances. So this was not proposed to be amended with the Parks Law. And so, you know, we're going to take a look at the Parks Law proposal in depth. But in the meantime, I thought it would be best to actually amend Section 80-4 if the board wants to address dogs at Havens Beach Park. So the proposed language is Section A would say dogs and other animals shall be prohibited from the beach and upland areas of Marine Park, Steinbeck Park, and Windmill Park from the Thursday preceding Memorial Day through and including Tuesday following Labor Day under all circumstances. And then it proposes a Section B, which states dogs shall be permitted on the grass upland area of Havens Beach Park at all times, but shall be prohibited from the beach area of Havens Beach Park from the Thursday preceding Memorial Day through and including the Tuesday following Labor Day under all circumstances. So I just thought it was more appropriate that we address the dogs in the chapter on animals. It's up to the Board of Trustees to determine what exact regulations you want in this section. But this is what's on for proposal tonight and to set it for public hearing, hopefully, unless you want changes, which I'm happy to make.
I'll make a motion to introduce.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion on how it is right now? So it would be completely prohibited Thursday before Memorial Day until the Tuesday after Labor Day. That way we can get the signs up, we can have the law for the beach, and then as we continue the discussions and everything else, we're good. All right. So we need to keep this open for the next, to vote on at the next meeting. Is that correct, Liz? Or
We need
since
to,
it's just
we need to set a public hearing, right?
Okay, all right, so we will do that. Thank you. I guess we had motions, but not all in favor. Aye.
Aye.
Right, aye, thank you. Okay, our next one. Our next is.
Scheduling this for June 8th?
Yes,
Public hearing?
Well, actually, can we do it for the work session on Wednesday? Since it's supposed to go into effect the following Thursday, or it does go into effect the following Thursday regardless, actually.
Don't we need 30 days?
Yeah, actually, you need 10 days for zoning amendments and usually 5 days notice for regular local law amendments pursuant to municipal home rule law. So if you're going to do a zoning, this is not in the zoning code, so you arguably would need 5 days notice pursuant to municipal home rule law for amending chapter 80 dogs.
So we can do it on May 26th.
I don't know, it would depend on Beth's ability to get it in the paper and how long it could be in the paper.
Does the notice period need to be 5 days?
We can get it in next week's paper, and that'll be more than 5 days, and that's in enough time for the following Wednesday.
Okay.
In fact, we can get it in the 20th edition.
All right, great. Okay. So we will talk more about that on May 26th. The next one is our local law amending chapter 278, the waterways. This has not changed since the last time we were here. Can I get a motion to open, please?
Make a motion to open.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor to open?
Aye.
Is there any discussion on the waterways law as it stands today? I'm looking, John Parker. Chelsea, can you unmute John Parker, please? Go ahead, John.
Actually, I had my hand up for the previous on the dogs, and I didn't take it down in time. So,
Okay,
so I don't have anything to add on the waterways law unless somebody has any questions that I can help with.
okay. I do not see any other hands up. Can I get a motion to close in that case?
I'll second.
Thank you. And can I get a motion to,
Aye.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Lori B. Thank
Well
you.
done. A long time in the making.
Yeah, I actually believe it first came to public hearing 2 years ago this week.
Good job.
Thank you. The next one is a local law amending chapter 265 vehicles and traffic parking regulations for limited certain hours, 30-minute parking. This is the 30-minute parking on Long Wharf to let people run in and out of the shops on Long Wharf. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion to accept unless there are any questions on it.
No questions, but we would just remind that these spots are exempt from the app, the electronic registration.
That would be the point, yes.
Yes, that's correct. So these are ones that will not be underneath the paid parking. They will be 30 minutes run in, run out. Can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And finally, a local law to amend Chapter 205 property maintenance of the Sag Harbor Village Code to prohibit the planting and maintenance of bamboo on properties located within the village of Sag Harbor. Can I get a motion to open, please?
I'll open.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
All in favor to open?
Aye.
We did get one letter in response to this law that was very supportive of it and asked that, said that this was a great way to put the neighbors on notice that bamboo is an invasive species and really a threat to our property. Are there any other comments on prohibiting bamboo in the village? All right, can I get a motion to adopt?
I'll move.
Beth? Wait, I think Beth has a question.
Okay.
Yeah, Beth, you're muted.
You did.
Beth is muted, yeah.
There we go.
Sorry, I didn't hear the motions to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yep. Can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
First,
Move it.
thank you. Thank you. And now
Okay.
a motion to
Aye.
adopt. Thank you. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. So we are just going to open and then table the Parks and Recreation law. Is that correct, Liz?
Yes, I do need to look at this and some of the provisions listed therein.
Great. Can I get a motion to open?
I'll make the motion open.
Thank you. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to table, please?
So moved.
Thank you. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the work session on April 1st, the work session on April 9th, the teleconference on April 13th, the regular meeting, sorry, on April 13th, the executive session on April 19th, the minutes from the work session on April 28th.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Tim Bullock, do you want to do a treasurer's report, please?
Hi, everybody. So as of March, our revenues are slightly above, the prior year, even though we're below our justice court and our sewer is still down from the prior year. As of our spendings are again on point from the prior year. And the only other thing I want to add is make sure that everyone's, spending their budget, because we do close our requisites on Friday. So make sure you have all your requisites in. So that way we can close the year out and be timely with that this year.
Quick question. When you say the sewer is down on the prior year, to what date are you reporting to?
March.
Okay, so the first quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Great. Can I get a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Next, we have the proposed Sag Harbor Waterfront Overlay District. We've had two, I think, really good sessions in the past 2 weeks on question and answers on the overlay, just making sure that everyone is clear. We do have Kathy Eisman on here. There she is, waving, and will be unmuted any second. Kathy is going to take us through the new schedule as well as the some specific changes, and then we also have a presentation from Save Sag Harbor, Randy Croxton, who has done some three-dimensional three-dimensional drawings, I guess, or computer drawings of what this would, what the difference between the existing code today and what the new code would be like, particularly on West Water Street. So Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, so I can share my screen. It has some of it has my updates to the schedule. It's a little bit of a work in progress because we are editing as we go. But this is where we were the other day, a question and answer session at 3 p.m. actually yesterday. It's been a very long day. Today, the idea was that we would give an update and talk about what's next, what possible changes to the overlay code could be made before the local law is introduced. And we believe that we can make those changes rather simply and reissue it as part of a local law on May 26th. So that's your next work session, I believe.
Yes.
May 26th. So there's a few things that need to happen in between, including my little note that we would send it to Suffolk County Planning Commission in anticipation of the board introducing it as a local law. So that way we could get a recommendation from Suffolk County Planning Commission on June 2nd and not have to wait till July. So that was one of my little notes. We will be working on refining the code in the next week if we get the go ahead tonight to make these changes, and then start SECRA and referral agents, referral letters. So that way they're ready to go as soon as we introduce it on May 26th. So we would commence SECRA with the board establishing lead agency on May 26th, and then get the notices out, get the referrals out, commence SECRA, do the analysis, and then there's a harbor committee referral that needs to occur for coastal consistency review. The first public hearing would be then on June 8th. I have the village election in here. That's not included. There's a planning board recommendation that we would seek at their next meeting in June, which would be the 22nd of June. And then continuation of the public hearing at the Board of Trustees work session on June 23rd. And because we're not sure we can get the Suffolk County Planning Commission's recommendation at the June 8th meeting, I have it held here for July 7th. And then the board considering adoption of SECRA and closing the public hearing on July 13th and possibly considering adoption. So there is the possibility that this could get slightly shrunken if we get the recommendation from Suffolk County Planning Commission on June 2nd. And if the Board of Trustees wants to consider closing the public hearing on June 23rd, that could happen then. But that's that. I'm going to admit, Deborah.
Great, thank you.
There's
And so,
that. And then I had just a few things that we had identified with the input from the public that we received in the 2 Monday sessions. We had one at 6 p.m. and one at 3 p.m. So we hoped we were able to reach as many people as possible that wanted to attend. One of the things is to make the coverage, the building coverage, consistent with the current VB and OD districts. So keep that at a maximum of 70%. The second item is to make it clear that offices would not be permitted on the ground floor in the VB district as it is today. That's a footnote in your existing use table that got lost, and there never was the intention not to have that prohibition on the ground floor. And then there are a few items that we would want to clarify, labeling a couple of certainly labeling Steinbeck Park, if not figuring out how to better represent that, that is that will be the PC district, that portion of Steinbeck Park that is currently zoned OD. It's a little confusing. It's a public park now, but it's zoned OD. We are proposing to change that zone to PC. Also to label the village parking lot on Meadow, and the National Grid property as well, because those are kind of properties that are not going to change in the near future. I think that's it.
okay.
So we would be looking for your input. Maybe we see the presentation first and then hear back from the Board of Trustees on what we'd like to do. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. I do see a question from Susan Enriquez Payne. Do you have, Susan, can we unmute Susan for a second?
Is that me who does that?
No, I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. Now that you're, maybe, now that you're,
Okay, I don't see her. Does she have her hand up or?
yes, she does.
All right, maybe Chelsea should take the controls away
Now
from
she
me.
doesn't have her hand up anymore, so maybe she's decided she doesn't want to have a question. All right, Susan, if you do have a question, put your hand back up at the end of Randy's presentation, but I think we should go over to Randy Croxton from Save Sag Harbor and some of the other Save Sag Harbor members who are here, Hillary. And if Chelsea, if you can unmute Randy and Hillary and Bob Weinstein, and I don't know, Randy, if there's somebody else you need to be unmuted or if you need somebody else to share their screen, if you can let.
Yes, I need control to go over to Jonathan Kirby.
Okay, did you hear that, Chelsea? Jonathan Kirby? All right, Jonathan, it looks like you should have, no, Jonathan Kirby needs to be made a co-host for his screen, please.
Right, I can't share my screen.
You can, okay, great.
Not-
Cannot.
Now I can.
Okay, great. Randy, you want to introduce yourself and set it all up? And if there's anyone else who should be unmuted, that would be great. Thank you.
My name is Randy Croxton, and I'm speaking as a board member of Save Sag Harbor. I'm a 35-year resident of the village, and I'm an architect. And the image and the animation that we're going to be sharing with you this evening are part of our educational sort of outreach mission, which is important, particularly in this instance because of the significance of the zoning overlay. And we have worked very hard to make the difference between the proposed overlay and the existing code as directly visible as possible, so that that the familiar buildings and structures and roads and walkways and so forth of the village are part of that vocabulary. So the first image is an overlay of, is the sort of larger picture of that effort, which we have begun. And Jonathan, if you'll put up the overlay.
It's not letting me share the video. It's only letting me share a window.
Strange.
Try again, Jonathan.
Sure. Stop sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still won't let me share the video. It only lets me share that folder view.
Kathy, you're in there as co-host. Can you unhost yourself? Would that be doing anything?
I think the only way I could do that is to leave.
Don't leave.
I'm trying to figure out if there's another setting that I can change.
We were on the village Zoom last night and it worked
last night.
fine.
Yeah. I'm going to leave and come back so that way I won't be a host anymore.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, Zoom should allow videos to share easily. It shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, no, we had
We
no
do it all the
problem
time.
last night at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked earlier and yesterday. It's not
Okay.
working now.
Does anyone else have it, Jonathan?
Does anyone else have the video? No, it just says Sag Harbor.
Okay. It's a great depiction of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know why it worked last night and not
Yeah.
now. Oh.
I'll tell you what, Jonathan, what we might do is just take a look at the PowerPoint. Does that come up?
No, it won't let me share.
Wow. Because that's just two-dimensional drawings.
Let me see.
This is unfortunate.
I might have figured out a way to make it work.
Well, that would be good.
looks like we're on the way.
Oh,
Great.
Oh,
that's better.
Got it.
much, much better.
Okay.
So this is our sort of ambitious mission includes all of the village. We have started out with a couple of selected projects. This is the second one that we're looking at. And so if we'll sort of zoom in to the waterfront overlay district. So this is in much more familiar language, the basic elements. And what we have decided to do is to focus on Westwater and Bay Street. So that is to say Long Island Avenue and Westwater and Bay Street, because those are all the development projects that will in fact be a barrier to or a window into the view beyond to the water. The office district to the left bottom is the lowest elevation in the village. It's landlocked, and so we have not taken any analysis into that area. So if we can now zoom down into a three-dimensional mode, we can see that the waterfront as it is now is an assemblage of 1- and 2-story structures with very few exceptions. It has a scale and a character that we're all familiar with. We have a number of contributing buildings that are sprinkled amongst the non-contributing. And again, that's very much the character of Sag Harbor, the sort of eclectic combination. If we take a look, and this is important as a preface, the volumes that I'm going to show you are the allowable volumes within which development takes place. We did not go in and try to show you architectural designs or solutions, but we wanted to just pare it down to the basic views and the volumes that are available for development, the volumes within which development must take place. This is the existing code, and as you can see, there's quite a massive amount of available 3-story high flat roof massing that can occur within the edge as you come to the water. Beginning on the left, it's the Beacon Restaurant, and then you move up to Fort Apache, the Malloy properties, and then you come over to Bay Street. Malloy has one contributing building there, which is the Maidstone Flour Mill. And then there are 2 contributing buildings, the Annie's Flour Shop and the adjoining Goop are on the list of contributing buildings. Going further down is the American Legion, which is not currently a contributing building. I understand that it may be on the list to become a contributing building. And then at the extreme right, we have included the marine yard, the boat yard. The impact of the new code is quite stunning. As of right in the new code, we'll take a look at now, and everything comes back to the 2-story scale. My early reading of the code, I was not aware that there are a lot of properties here that are away from the waterfront, but are included in the 25-foot height. They are able to occupy more of the ground space because they're being focused as pedestrian and focused on retail frontage and animating pedestrian experience, 24-hour self-policing quality to the village. There are bonuses that are available here, and those we'll show as a darker blue. However, they have to be stepped back 10 feet in every direction on all sides to diminish their impact, visual impact, and you'll see that a little bit later. the key that I wanted to sort of pick a location to bring to your attention is right at the corner bar and going across the street toward Tuto and the what we call Fort Apache. That view down Long Island Avenue is the sort of focus of a number of development proposals. It's also very descriptive of the impact of the code. So, and we also threw in, just as a scale reference, a recent proposal that came from Bay Street Theater to develop the site of the old 7-Eleven. So you can see the park is accessible on both ends of that proposal, quite a large volumetric that is proposed on that site. If we now swing around, I'll invite you under the model for a second. We'll come back up. And so now you see the view, the familiar view, looking down Long Island Avenue. That's Fort Apache on the right. The next is 7-Eleven, 2 West Water, and you can see beyond at the end is the Beacon Restaurant. On the left is the post office, and on this side of the post office would be the open dining that Tuto has in that location. If we were to follow the current code, maximum development, we get this. The impact is quite significant. And there's essentially a wall with very little opening to the water on the right. Under the new code, the as of right development is 2 stories. And you can see that here. And you do get at the end of the view, you do get the beacon coming back out into that view for the water, because they can build again right back to their property. They can't do that under the existing code. Now I'm going to add the bonus. You can't add bonus to Tuto on the left because they don't have access to the water, but you can add bonuses to the buildings on the right. These seem like very large, cumbersome additions, but of course, the only portion that's visible because of the setbacks is here. If we now take a look further and move to the proposal that came from Bay Street, and of course, I'll point out, in fairness, this is the most flattering view because you are seeing a very compressed view in perspective. But they're proposing to eliminate the Fort Apache property and turn it over to the park and make that a connector into the park. We're going to come back to that issue about Fort Apache because it has enormous strategic significance, totally independent of the development of the Bay Street Theater. And we're also going to step outside of the zone to take a look at the view coming down Main Street, because the historic view progression of coming into Sag Harbor and down Main Street is the ultimate view to the water in sequence. We'll go underground again here to flip over to the other side of the bridge. This is the view as you come onto the bridge. You can see 2 West Water, the 7-Eleven properties, and that beautiful view of the back end of Fort Apache with all of the dumpsters and servicing and so forth that goes on there. And here is the full maximum development current code. So essentially, you will not have necessarily that continuous wall. On the other hand, I would assume that those developers will try to put their parking behind their buildings and as opposed to in front of their buildings. In any case, this is the developable envelope. Some will arrive with extra parking guarantees in their pocket and will not have to deal with parking and will be able to have larger volumes. Others will have to accommodate parking, and that will be somewhat self-limiting. This is the proposed code.
Existing.
I'm sorry, this is existing, this is proposed. And you can see that there's under the proposed code, and it'll become more evident when we look at it in plan, there's actually a spacing of 83 feet between the 7-Eleven property development and the development that would be possible on the Fort Apache site. So you get a lot of an enormous opening back into the village, and you're holding down to the two-story norm. So that's as of right. With a bonus, depending on how you are able to achieve that, you could at maximum development get up to this level. We also superimposed the proposed, and this is the worst view that you can have because we're going to maximize the view of the proposal of the Bay Street Theater. And of course it cuts off the two side parks that are part of that plan. So in fairness, we went to the top of the bridge, at the high point on the bridge to look at that so that at least it showed the two park elements to the sides. That's good. So if we take this element that we've looked at just now, which is the animation, and we make it real in terms of a two-dimensional plan, we have a PowerPoint. This is like a little refresher course, remembering where things are. This is the three-story impact of the existing code. This is the as of right impact of the new code. And there are 5 buildings that theoretically could achieve their bonus relationships. And they're shown here, and that's the Bay Street Theater for scale. Here we go to the measurable relationship on the ground. And you can see much more clearly here when we go to the development under the existing code, which is shown in yellow, that we have, for instance, when you look at the American Legion, you see the setbacks on all sides. On the Beacon restaurant, you see the setbacks on the sides. The coverages and setbacks are greater, but as you noticed, the three-dimensional change of the three-story massing is what really counts in this case, particularly in terms of connection to the water. If we look at the new code, the proposed code, the overlay, the waterfront overlay, we can see that the visual access to the water is enormously enhanced in terms of that 83-foot total. It's 60 foot on the 7-Eleven site and additional 23 on the Fort Apache site, and you get quite a large visual access through there. As you come to the end of Division Street, another minimal visual. And by the way, we're just showing it in one location. Any developer is going to come up with a scheme, and they're going to meet these various requirements in their own ways. But we're just showing a couple of ways that it could be done. All the way over to the Marine Yard on the right, you see that even that has a minimal visual connection. but the main sort of relevance of this code comes in the bonus. And when you add the bonus onto the 7-Eleven site, you get the connection to the park and to the water at the much larger scale. So that's sort of the essence of the proposed site in attempting to make the connection out to the water. The existing code, as I say, has its own more conservative treatments of not occupying as much of the site and creates more of the old traditional idea that every site is like a little individual isolated object rather than coming up to the street and becoming part of the sidewalk and the transparency and the pedestrian focus, which is felt to be an advantage in the proposed code over the existing code. Others might argue that the existing code is preferable for keeping buildings spaced further from each other. The next, the point, I'll close with the one thing that we collectively feel is extremely important. And that is a little outside of the purview of this exercise, and that is the view as you come into Sag Harbor and as you come down Main Street. One of the proposals that has been put forward associated with Bay Street Theater is the acquisition of the Fort Apache site to be incorporated into the park. The significance of that piece of property, along with a very small triangle of the Tuto property, creates an extraordinary easement in terms of the arrival down Main Street and coming to the water. If those two adjustments are maintained or that easement is achieved, you literally from the bottom dot on Main Street, that is the wharf shop. The next dot is the municipal building. The next one is the American Hotel. The next one is Sen, and then the People's Bank. You will be able to come to the water to see Long Wharf, to see the bridge, to see the connection to obviously North Haven, Shelter Island, Greenport. You will be able to have that same deep visual connection back into Main Street as you're coming across the bridge and arriving in the village. I think it would be really, it's a 200, 300 year gift forward to recreating the sense of being on the water and a completely different arrival into the heart of the village. In the next image, it just sort of emphasizes the masking effect of one single property. Next image. This is the last image. It just suggests that a smaller development in the park that allowed the park to occur in around both sides, possibly smaller than is being shown here, that would mimic a lot of the sort of internationally successful concept of the theater in the park. Really seems to offer a great opportunity. So that's a sharing of all the thoughts of Save Sag Harbor. We hope that these have served to make much more clear, much more simple and accessible to the public the implications of the two codes.
Randy and Save Sag Harbor, I want to thank you again. This is really enlightening and fascinating. So can I open it to questions of the Board of Trustees? Aiden?
First of all, I'd like to thank Randy everybody, Bob Weinstein, everybody at Safe Sag Harbor for putting this together. It has taken what is a difficult read and a difficult imaginative process and put it into a way that's very accessible. I think that the view shed that opens up as you come down Main Street is remarkable, and as Randy said, would recreate and create a 100, 200, 300 year view as you come down. I think it's very exciting, and thank you very much for preparing this. I know how much work goes into these presentations. They look simple when you present them, but there's hours and hours of tedious work in creating them, and I do that for a living myself, so I have a great appreciation for what you have done for us this evening. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would like to say that this has always been my take on the best parts of this waterfront moratorium has been this aspect of it, which is essentially the lowering of the massing and the water views. And it was originally, not originally, but that was one of the main intentions. And this graphically demonstrates it very well. And thank you, Randy.
Chelsea, can you unmute Bob Weinstein? I think he wants to add something before we continue with questions.
Yeah, I just want to say that we're hoping to publish this on the Safe Sag Harbor newsletter in the next day or two. So if anybody wants to review it again on your own, it will be available to be looked at.
On the Safe Sag Harbor website?
Hopefully on the website, but the newsletter, if you subscribe to the newsletter, it will appear in your inbox in the next day or two.
Hopefully by Thursday.
Yeah.
Tim LaRocca, you're muted, but I think you have your own way to unmute. There you go.
There we go. First, Randy, thank you very much. As you went through that, took us through that, I found myself wishing we had that a year ago, because it so clearly demonstrates the contrast between the new and the old. And it very informative, I think, and thank you for that. I'm going to just raise one matter I've tried to raise a number of times before to put it in perspective for me today. I haven't heard yet in the revisions that we continue to make in the code a role for the board for residential properties at 4,000 square feet or larger, and still looking for some guidance on how we might make the Board of Trustees the last stop on size in process on commercial buildings. I still think that would be a very important fail-safe for the process. And as I say that tonight, I want to basically announce, now that I'm a candidate for mayor, I intend not to participate over these next 4 weeks in these direct dialogues, because it presents the perhaps incorrect assumption that it's not clear whether I'm speaking as a trustee or as a candidate. So I'm going to withdraw from a further discussion of that. The only other thing I wanted to say was that if we have a May 26th meeting, whether we consider the possibility of going live for that meeting. We have very robust participation now in this subject matter, and that'll be a big night for this. And at this rate, perhaps we can develop a venue for that meeting that would allow us to be outside. Thank you.
Okay. Jim, I asked Elizabeth Bale to put together a recommendation in regards to the 4,000 square feet and the board of trustees being part of that. So Liz is working on that, and we'll share that with all of us soon.
And her thoughts on the possibility on the commercial side as well. That would be, yes. Thank you.
I have a comment, please.
Yes.
The review process in the village, as everyone knows, are volunteer boards, the ZBA, the planning board, and the HPRB, primarily. Not primarily, that's exclusively. And we are at a point where those boards are feeling a lot of pressure from a lot of outside forces. And to have the board, the board of trustees, take that authority away from them seems to me to be a major step backwards. And I only say that because they are really the bulwark between us and the rest of the world, so to speak. And we are not, there are various members on the Board of Trustees. Some have zoning experiences, some don't. And for us to weigh in on particularly bigger buildings, which would be, I think, Jim's idea, I think it is the purview of our boards, and that's what they've done, and that's what they've all volunteered for, and there is an inevitable change in the makeups of these boards, and there's also an inevitable change in the enthusiasm of these boards. And if we take away, for instance, let's just pick one randomly, the ZBA, if we tell the ZBA, well, yeah, you can do this, but we're going to do this, it really, I think it's a deflating and counterproductive approach to and primarily, as I say, larger, I don't know, 4,000, whatever the footage is. And I personally don't think that it's a great idea to promote our current system of approving and reviewing applications.
Trustee Corish.
Two questions. One is, at 4,000 square feet, how many projects would we have reviewed in the last year? I don't know if anybody has the answer to that.
23.
So we would, in addition to everything else we do, we would be reviewing 23 projects that can, and each one go on for many months. Second question is, we appoint people to these boards because they have a certain skill set and they have a certain focus. For better or worse, our Board of Trustees is sort of a beauty contest every 2 years. And the winner gets the keys of the car, whether they know how to drive or not. I don't think that that's a good way of staffing or having oversight on what these other boards do. And then I'd have to ask myself, how do we weigh in? Are we the last port of call? Are we the first port of call? Do we respond to a recommendation from the other boards? So there's a lot to unpack in this, and it's just not as simple as saying, okay, now we're in charge of everything over 4,000 square feet. I'd love to know how many hours all of our boards spent looking at all of these projects and how many times they came back and what it would do to our meetings. And how does this really work, or has it really been thought through? I mean, on the face of it, it seems like a pretty easy thing to say, but I think once you scratch the surface, you open up a can of worms here, which means what our meetings are going on 3, 4, 5 hours every week. We'd have attorneys making presentations, we'd be sending people back. We essentially, do we need all to go and get training to be able to adjudicate these in a fair way? Are we taking over the roles of the planning board, the architectural review board, and the zoning board of appeals? Do we become this sort of super star chamber that oversees all the property in the village? I just don't see how it works. I think the system we have right now works really well. Is it perfect? No, but no system is. But I think of taking everything over 4,000 square feet and bringing it into this environment is a recipe for disaster.
Liz Vale is, one sec, Tom. Liz Vale is going to write us a memo that will come to the board. And what I suggest is that we add this to the work session at the end of May as a major part of the conversation, because that will also be when we are beginning the conversation on this. Regardless, I'm not sure that it belongs in this code necessarily. I think if it is something we want to look at, it would be something separate than this particular code. Tom, do you want to?
I just wanted to add my comment to the other comments made, which is that I am a trustee. I was elected by the residents of this village. Those boards serve the residents of this village. I think it's time that we started to open a dialogue with the residents and get some feedback as to how they feel they've been treated through the process of going through these boards. To just set up boards and just have them have an ultimate say, whether it's subjective or objective, however you want to set it up. I think we really need to hear from our residents who go through this process and see how they feel about it and if it's working. I mean, that's ultimately why we're here. The government starts from the people and works its way down through us and through these boards. So I think in the future, we need to open a dialogue with our residents who go through these boards and go through the process and get some feedback from them and see how they feel about it. And that's just my comment on it.
I can tell you, I get feedback every day on our boards, and sometimes it's very positive feedback when they've had a really good experience, and sometimes it's very bad when they haven't gotten what they want. So it's, but there is a lot of feedback coming in, and we can continue. And I believe this will probably be part of the election conversation. So we'll get some feedback in that way too from the electorate. But we are here really to discuss and to finish the discussion on the Save Sag Harbor model. So again, thank you very much, Randy. Thank you. And thank you, Jonathan Kirby, for figuring it out. So that was key.
I'm glad we were able to see it.
So are we. And Hillary and Bob and everyone else at Save Sag Harbor. I really appreciate it. If there are questions, we can take some very quick questions. We are now at 7 o'clock. I'd like to just have 15 minutes of questions before we go in. So Mazier, if you can unmute yourself, or maybe we unmute you. I'm not sure. If you want to try to unmute yourself, please.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I wanted to talk about the 3D model that Randy showed. Before doing so, very quickly, since the conversation about ARB zoning, these committees came up, I'll just add my 2 cents.
This really is not a place for those 2 cents. We will talk about it in a work session next week once we have the letter.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
You're welcome. First of all, thank you to Randy for creating this wonderful model. That's what I had been asking about in the past 2 sessions, that it's these types of 3D diagrams and illustrations that really bring it home and make the proposal accessible to the public. And I know how much work it takes to do these types of diagrams because we do them also. 2 comments about what the results are that we look at. The bonus story that is allowed under the new proposal north of Long Island Street and on either side of Main Street. My question is the following. Main Street itself is typically either 2, 3, sometimes a 4-story street, but none of the side streets are necessarily meant to be 3 or 4 stories kind of development or zoning. Why are we allowing that type of bonus structure to happen there as opposed to on Main Street? So I would.
Mazier, is this a question about the modeling?
No, about the actual zoning plan that was presented and the model that showed the results of that plan.
So then again, I have to ask you to wait for public hearing to ask those questions. This is really if there are any questions on the modeling, but right now to get into the zone itself or the zoning code itself, we're not ready to take questions on that.
I'm going to bring this last thing up. You're going to tell me if this is within the purview of this conversation or not. Randy mentioned the importance of that view corridor from Main Street to the water line and to Steinbeck Park. And I do agree it's an important water view. And I've said that since I saw that as an option that came up. However, I'd like to say that we have to be careful about what we're going to trade off for that water view. Maybe now I'm going into the zoning issue, but I just want to say that we can't just, because this is an important water view, that we give away, as we have in the past, certain permissions and bonuses to developers for giving away these types of corridors or water views or parks. So I just want to.
We're all in violent agreement on that point. So
okay,
that's good.
Well, thank you, Randy. I appreciate that very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other hands up. I don't see anybody waving at me, so I think we will move on to just the public comments in general, and this is really for comments and questions that have nothing to do with anything we've talked about. Things that are going on that anyone would like to question. Mr. Sujay, can you see if you can unmute yourself, or if not, Chelsea Gregory's there. Oh, where'd you go? There you are. Oh, no, you're not quite unmuted. Can
Good
There you go.
evening, Mayor and the Board of Trustees. My comment is about the proposed Code 186 Parks and Recreation. I will say this, a law that gives license to enter land does not give rise to trespass ab initio. The initial part of the law was giving license to transport an animal over the restricted areas to below the mean high water mark. I would like to dub or call the proposed code the Purple Tide Code, the Purple Tide Code. You know, the code is saying that prior to 9 a.m. and after 6 p.m., the below the mean high water mark is available to walk animals. During the summer, we will have many high tides prior to 9 a.m. And during the summer, when the sunlight is out until about 8:30, 9 p.m., we will have many high tides. Giving license to and encouraging people to walk below the mean high water mark, in my opinion, is ultra vires of any power the village has. I would say all of the waterfront owners own 45 feet of beach from their toe going towards the mean high water mark. So during the times when there is a high tide, there is no beach available. And we know the reasons we talked about in other people's voiced opinions. I mean, I myself have been on a beach recently when, quote, Rocco, a Rottweiler, was looking at my legs while its owner was jogging down the beach. I wasn't comfortable with that situation. And we know the main point is sanitation. People have been leaving gifts for us on the beach. And that's not terrible, but it's unacceptable behavior. So I think that you will probably want to reconsider the Blue Tide Code for those reasons. One, it's a safety issue. Dogs are actually property of their owners. We don't actually know if they have a license, whether or not their rabies vaccination is up to date. And again, with the high tide, and there'll be many of them prior to 9 a.m. and after 6 p.m., the only license available is to walk through as a person, as a human, but not with your animal because of safety and sanitation reasons. So that would be my opinion about the proposed addition of allowing animals to traverse the eastern shore below the high water mark. And I do measure 45 feet from my toe. I keep records, and I probably can establish that. So that's my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments? All right. In that case, we will move on to our department reports. We'll start with the police report. We had, I have to tell everyone, summer has started again, or at least COVID is over. We are back onto real reports and real people being pulled over, and I have no idea where that report went, but our calls are up. Fire department, there we are. We issued 122 parking summonses in the month of April. We had 493 calls for service, which ended up with 7 aggravated unlicensed operations, 2 suspended registrations, 12 motor vehicle accidents, and 1 reckless endangerment. There were 12 arrests, including 2 DWI arrests and 5 DWI arrests year to date. And that is the police report. The second part of my reports is Steinbeck Park. On May 17th, we are going to be awarded a check or a check slash promissory note from the Sag Harbor Partnership for $278,000. That's what has been raised from the website that Trustee Corish designed. That's been up since about the beginning of the year, so we are thrilled. We are hoping to be able to do a fundraiser at some point this summer or maybe September. I always like the idea of doing something on the anniversary of when John Steinbeck drove over the bridge to North Haven to start on his travels with Charlie. And that is mid-September. So maybe we will do a fundraiser that weekend to raise even more money for the park, but it's a great start. And we also have a potential of another large donation coming for some of the walkways. So that is my report. Trustee or Deputy Mayor Gardella, can you give us the fire department and ambulance corps, please?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. In the month of April 2021, the fire department volunteered for over 1,189 man hours. During the busy month, the fire department responded to 3 structure fires, 2 motor vehicle accidents, and 1 mutual aid call to East Hampton. They also responded to 32 other reported alarms within the district. The Sag Harbor Fire Department continued training by going to the Suffolk County Fire Academy for a taxpayer drill. They also conducted hose handling drill at Cove West Marina in preparation for the upcoming boating season.
Can you tell me what a taxpayer drill is?
The taxpayer drill is basically fighting a fire like with storefronts. Similar to, say, the fires that we had on Main Street, where you need multi-personnel, you need the aerial ladder goes, an engine goes. We need at least, I think, 20 to 25 firefighters to do that drill properly. It's very intense. There's cutting of locks that are involved with that. So it's very involved. And it's something that, obviously prepares us in case there's a fire on Main Street. I don't know if Kevin O'Brien Jr. is here or present. If you want to, maybe he could explain it a little better than I just did.
Kevin, are you there?
Kevin's got his hand up.
Okay. Kevin, I think you can unmute yourself. Or maybe not. Can we get Kevin unmuted? Sorry, Chief. I guess. Chelsea, can we get Chief O'Brien unmuted?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. So that taxpayer, we also invited the Bridgehampton Fire Department to come with us. Most taxpayer fires are going to be involve mutual aids. So we worked with our neighboring chiefs there and one of their engines just to get used to working with each other as well. We try and do that drill every single year. The business district is extremely important. And as we saw, it takes a long time to rebuild when something bad does happen. So.
All right, great. Thank you.
That's all I have.
So that's the fire department report. I'll move on to the ambulance corps. So for the month of April 2021, we had 55 emergency calls, 4 work nights, 2 meetings, no training sessions, no drills, no work details, no parades, and no standbys. As compared to April 2020, we had 52 emergency calls as compared to 55 this year. We also did a work day this past month, which is taking apart. Basically, what we do is we pull out both ambulances, the first responders. We take all of the equipment out, check everything for expiration dates, and restock as needed, clean the inside thoroughly of each ambulance and first responder, and put everything back together again. So it's very labor intense. It takes about, I would say, 3 hours, 3.5 hours to do all the work. And you're talking about 20 people, 20 to 30 people doing that. So we also did that in the month of April. The COVID numbers have declined rapidly, and we just hope that that trend continues moving forward as people get vaccinated. So that's my reports.
Thank you. And you volunteered at all the vaccination centers, the ambulance corps.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Plum, Building Department and Code.
Yes, the building department report is for the month of April, 16 building permits were issued, 74 inspections performed, 16 certificates of occupancy issued, 3 certificates of compliance, which is something we need to discuss, and 13 notices of violation. The total receipts for April were $62,751. And that is over last year. It's about $40,000 over year-to-date April 2020. And as far as the code enforcement, they received 3 complaints, 12 notices of, they issued 12 notices of violation, 20 routine inspections, 3 plan reviews, and 2 permits issued. Those are typically commercial permits. Code enforcement, they issued 5 appearance tickets. They issued a notice, 1 notice of violation, 8 routine inspections, received 10 complaints, and followed up on 13. 3 more than they got. That's good. So, and that is the report for code and code enforcement and building. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Corish, Sewer and Village Grants.
Thank you, Mayor Mulcahy. I'm going to start with the sewage treatment plant. And following is the monthly report of the performance of the Sag Harbor Village wastewater treatment plant for the month of April. The total gallons received in the month was 1.875 million gallons. Total gallons of sludge removed was 33,000. DMR reports are forwarded on 5/11. Suffolk County DHS inspection date. The next inspection is going to be 5/12/21. New York State DEC inspection date is open as always. There were no complaints for the month of April. And summary of operations, the wastewater treatment plant is running well under all permitted levels. We're now operating on 3 basins because the flow is beginning to increase as the spring season is upon us. I'm sure we've all noticed downtown is a little busier than it has been. Mr. Paul Harding from the DEC was out for a plant inspection. And I'm very glad to say that everything went well, which is reflects very well on the team down there who do a fantastic job. All the grease traps in the village were inspected. 6 of them failed. All the others passed. 6 is a pretty high number. So they were revisited, or they will be, to be checked again. The flow increase from March to April was approximately 164,000 gallons. And for grant writing, we're currently being considered for a grant of $288,000 by the East Hampton Water Quality Committee, CPF Water Quality Committee, and that would be for the engineering required for the expansion of the sewage service areas on the east side of the village. That will be around the Rysam Street area. I'm meeting tomorrow with Jennifer Messiano and Mark Wagner, John Parker, and we're going to be reviewing our submission to the Southampton CPF Water Quality Committee. And that will be for engineering work to be done on the south side. which would be around the Garden Street, Spring Street area. We all know, we heard it described as the lowest lying area in the village. And we all know for just walking down there how high the groundwater is. If we're successful there, and I sincerely hope we will be, and I expect to be, it will put us in a position to have all the engineering drawings and details done by the end of this year, so that we could actually consider going to bid for next year, towards the end of the year, so we would know what was involved in actually executing these projects. And so for the year 2022 to 23, we will be looking for federal, state, county, town money, wherever we can shake the money tree to get what will be millions of dollars to sewer these two areas of the village. And if we could have achieved that by the end of 2023, it would be remarkable. It would be great for the village. It would be great for the water. And as I always like to say, as the water goes, so goes everything else in our community. I'd like to just comment on the $278,000 that was raised for the park. I would love to take the kudos for that, but there's a phenomenal amount of work done by Molly Bishop. The partnership and who have the prowess of the partnership for fundraising is remarkable. I did a little to help. We liaise with them in this process. Our village website for John Steinbeck Park links to their website. So if someone goes on to our village site and they decide they want to make a donation, it seamlessly takes them to the partnership website. So it's a great collaboration. I'm delighted to see that it's doing so well. And the idea that it has raised in pledges and funds $278,000 is a testament to all the work they do over there. And that concludes my reports, Mayor. Thank you very much.
You're here. Trustee LaRocca, Parks and Public Works and Justice and Harbor and Docks, please. And whatever.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Let's start with the court. The number of cases opened was 187, which is actually fairly standard for the month of April. And the number of cases closed was 222. So the net there was more closed than open, which is always a good sign of progress. The treasurer mentioned the discrepancy or the direction of revenues from last year to this. That continues to be a significant matter. In both March and April, we were finally ahead of last year, when COVID hit, but we're still significantly off the pattern pre-COVID. Hopefully that will improve, but the forecast forward is still to finish this fiscal year with a significant gap in expected revenues, and some of that will carry into the following year. The offset to that I'd like to jump right to is the harbor, because the harbor is way ahead of budget and revenues are actually through the roof. And it's been an important offset overall and a measure of how important our maritime environment is to the economy, culture, all of the rest of it, but it's also a very good business for us as a community. Boats are filling in on the dock, as you see, and out in the mooring field. Reservations and reservations for dockage and moorings has increased dramatically over the past month. We continue to do minor repairs on the docks. That's an ongoing, continuous matter always on the waterfront. Through the Harbor Master's office, we now are tied into an online reservation system, and that has helped a lot, particularly on the season ahead. It's more efficient for us to do it that way. The revenues are more certain and predictable. And we are also using that process for our transient visitors, which are pretty much booked for the season. There were 2 marine patrols conducted during the last month, and that is very routine. To give you the numbers, this time last year, we were 556,500 in receipts going forward into the season. This year, that number is 844,380 something. So a net gain of over $250,000 year to year. And we can use it. We can always use it. The Public Works Department has been at work in all the usual ways. There was a typical month of cleanup for April. People seem to cherish that work by the village in providing that service. And that was all accomplished at the same time that the boys and the men of the department are putting out new striping, dealing with the collateral work of the new project that was done by the yacht club along Main Street, along Bay Street. If you'll notice, there's a new bulkhead, the length of the waterfront from the ramp to the dockage at the Sag Harbor Yacht Club is elevated. It's very good looking, and it contributes nicely to the area. That is my report.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the department of reports, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to correspondence requiring action. Ken Deeg of the Sag Harbor Launch requests authorization for lease mooring spaces 1 to 4 at the west side of Long Wharf at a rate of $1,500 for the boating season, and to use a portion of the vacant lot at 45 Bay Street for storage at the rate of $3,000.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ensvier Ozdamir requests a permission to obtain a peddler's permit to sell ice cream throughout the village. This is the gentleman who drives around and plays turkey in the straw that you then can't get out of your head for another week or two.
Every time he comes down the block, I miss him.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Nathaniel Reichter requests authorization for a commercial slip for the 21 season.
I'll move it.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Bill Quinn of the Abate of New York Long Island chapter requests permission to ride through the village on Sunday, June 13th from 12 to 1. Beth, this is a motorcycle or a bike ride? Do you know? I guess we all know.
I would say it's a motorcycle ride. Abate is a motorcycle organization.
Thank you.
And my other question is, does Chief McGuire know about this? Does he have an opinion on it? Yes, Beth says yes. Okay, I'll make the motion.
Okay, if Chief knows, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Hope they bring some mufflers.
Authorization to sign the payment process agreement with SSG Forte Payments. I'll make the motion. I guess I can't make the motion because I'm signing. Can someone make the motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Thank
Aye.
you. Robert Reed, owner of Global Boarding, requests permission to rent the unused bulkhead space at BB Dock to operate wakeboard, water ski, and surf centers for the 21 boating season. This is the same space he uses every year.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to award the proposal for the launch service to the sole bidder, Ken Deeg.
Is this a launch service to take people out to moored boats?
Yes.
Oh, good.
He's basically a water taxi in the harbor to and from
Gotcha.
and among the boats.
Yep.
It works very well for the village.
Yep.
Does.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Bob Bory recommends we charge Ken a $500 increase in the fee for the proposal, as he now has 2 vessels for this season.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Request from Melissa Hessler, Vice President of the Ambulance, to accept the resignation of Geraldine Marola and Joseph North in good standing and remove them from the insurance rolls.
I'll make the motion.
You.
That's too bad. Where are they going? Hate to lose them.
Well, Jerry's volunteering for East Hampton, and Joe is going to focus on his fire department career. That's what he told me.
That's sad to see them go, but I'll second it regretfully.
All in favor?
Aye.
And thank you both
Yes.
for all your service in the past and your future service for East Hampton and the fire department. Authorization to transfer the following to the 21-22 tax bills: sewer rent, water use and penalty arrears, and fire, police and fire false alarm and penalty arrears.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to sign the tax warrant for the fiscal year June 1, 21 to May 31, 22.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Anybody?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to go out and bid on the following services: sewer sludge hauling for the 21, to go out to bid, sorry, for the 21-22. We're not going to go bid on it ourselves.
No. I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization for the village clerk's office to remit payments to vendors for the fiscal year 2020 to 2021. Make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A resolution for the May 21 budget transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Authorization to advertise for a part-time certified building inspector. We now have our senior building inspector in place, and we are going to look for a second part-time building inspector to help them keep up with the numerous permits that are coming in.
I move that one.
Thank you.
Second. Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A resolution to sign the Ameriflex agreement renewal for the term June 1, 21 to May 31, 22.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Jim seconded. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to sign the audit engagement letters for the fiscal year June 1, 2020 to May 31, 2021 for the village and justice court.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So much easier in person rather than. Mary Lindman and Kenmore request authorization for a commercial slip mooring usage for the purpose of using a 22-foot nautique boat for passenger charter service. A resolution. Anybody?
Is Bob okay with this? Bob Bory?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, I move it.
Thank you. Second, all in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Authorization to execute any and all documents pertaining to the Town of Southampton Community Preservation Fund Water Quality Improvement Program. Never met a Community Preservation Fund water quality program we didn't like.
I'll move that.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Authorization to sign the cooperative agreement with the Town of Southampton for our shared computer capabilities. I'll move it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dee Yardley, Superintendent of Public Works, requests authorization to advertise for beach attendants and lifeguards for the 2021 beach swimming season.
Move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to approve Temple Adas Israel's application for the use of Havens Beach for the Family Sabbath celebration on Fridays from July to August, 4:30 to 6 p.m. This is something.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution for May 2021 unused vacation time.
What, can we have a quick explanation of that?
Beth?
You're muted, Beth.
Chelsea, can we unmute Beth if she can't unmute herself? There we go.
Aye, thank you, trustee Corish. The explanation for this is that similar to last year, due to COVID, some of our employees were not able to take their vacation time. So this is to allow, I believe at this point, may only be one person that this particularly pertains to, and another person may have just a couple of hours left. This will allow them the opportunity to take their vacation because they're only permitted to carry over 50 hours from the prior year. So we'll allow them to carry over an additional 14 work days.
Thank you. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Favor?
Aye.
Resolution to hire the election inspectors for the June 15th election.
I'll move.
You?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Southampton to provide the Village of Sag Harbor residents residing in East Hampton Town beach access to Scott Cameron Beach, Mecox Beach, Sag Main Beach, and Long Beach. This, for those of you who don't know, this was Southampton changed their longstanding gentleman's agreement with Sag Harbor that we would always be able to, all of Sag Harbor would be able to buy the Southampton beach permits at the same rate. So the East Hampton side would have gone up to $360 for beach permits for this season. So we finally were able to get a meeting together with the supervisor and various others on this subject. And we came to an agreement that for a one-time payment for this year of $10,000, our residents on the East Hampton side will be able to buy stickers that will be for Long Beach and the 3 beaches that have parking attendants at it, which is again, Scott Cameron, Mecox, and Sag Main. And we will continue to look at this. Southampton today approved this to go to public hearing. They do have to do a public hearing on it, and it will be voted on May 26th or May 25th.
May 25th.
May 25th.
I'd like to thank the mayor for doing this. It caused a lot of consternation for people on the East Hampton side. It sort of disrupted their summer and generations of habit. And so I would like to make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
You? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sag Harbor Chamber of Commerce requests authorization to hold the annual Harbor Fest at Steinbeck Park, Windmill Park, and Long Wharf from September 11th to September 12th from 9 to 7 p.m. on Saturday and 9 to 5 on Sunday.
I'll make the motion.
I will happily second that motion. This is one of those things that just shows we're getting back to normal.
Yep. Aye.
Favor?
Aye.
The Sag Harbor Chamber of Commerce also requests authorization to hold the Arts and Crafts Fair at Steinbeck Park, Windmill Park, and Long Wharf, all 3. I think it's just at, I don't know.
I think that was part of one application.
Okay. I would assume
Just separated.
it's at Marine Park. John Leonard, I know you're on. Do you want to unmute? Can you unmute yourself, or Chelsea, can you unmute John Leonard? John, can you just?
I think I'm unmuted now.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Yes, it's at Marine Park,
Thank you.
the Arts and Crafts Fair.
Okay, great.
Make
Can I
the
get a
motion.
motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Debbie O'Brien, Vice President of the Ambulance Corps, requests authorization to advertise a per diem EMTB on the Suffolk County REMSCO website.
I will make the motion, and just a quick explanation. This is for the approved in the budget, approved for an EMTB who's also a driver to accompany our ALS provider, or paramedic or critical care EMT on the call. So we'll have a crew available from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then, of course, we have the volunteers that run squad overnight that have full crews. So this will give us full coverage throughout. So it's something that's important. A lot of times during the day, people are working and we can't get a driver. We have to call for mutual aid. So this closes that loophole.
That's great. Thank
So I
you.
made the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to sign an agreement with the town of East Hampton for the Water Quality Improvement Project Funding Award.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to accept the resignation of part-time police officer Valian Gates and traffic control officer Demetris Baranacro effective May 13th. Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Debbie O'Brien, president of the ambulance, to accept the new hire Caitlin Cassesi, Tom?
I would say it's Chache. That's the Italian pronunciation.
Okay, that's good.
As a on-call paramedic starting immediately at $28.50 per hour through May 2021 and $29.36 an hour as of June 1.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And Fighting Chance has requested a musician in the parking lot as part of their event on Saturday, May 22nd.
I'll move.
Jim made the motion. Bob?
Bob, I'll
Jim,
second.
Are you trying to get unmuted or are you happy muted?
Me?
No, Jim.
Jim,
Hmm.
just give us a thumbs up if you're happy as you
He
are.
should be
Okay,
unmuted.
good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And a motion to approve the payments of presented in warrant 55, 56, 57, 58, and 59.
So moved.
Thank you. Jim seconded. Beth, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, we do have more public comments. If there is anyone out there who would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand or just try to unmute. I don't see anyone. So everyone, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So
Thank you. All in favor?
second.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Everyone have a lovely evening. Thank you very much. And we will see you in late May. And
Thank
maybe
you, Kathleen.
we'll hopefully
Thanks,
be
Beth.
able to do a in-person meeting. That would be wonderful.
That would be fantastic.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.